Good evening and welcome back to Weekend Dialogue on BizRoundup. Tonight in our studios, we are going to talk about the tea industry and the way forward. And I think we have the right person in our studios to discuss about the tea industry. The chairman of the Tea Exporters Association, Mr. Rohan Fernando, joining us. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Indiveri. Thank you for inviting me.
Indeed, our pleasure to have you here with us, Mr. Fernando. Let us talk a little about the tea industry to begin with, an overall look. Of course, 2013 was a good year in terms of tea production and of course tea exports too. $1.5 billion in export earnings, an all-time high revenue for the industry. However, there seems to be challenges in the industry itself. How do you look at it right now?
It's in the challenges are primarily where the export markets are concerned vis-a-vis what we do here in Sri Lanka. Currently, we are still coming out of the recession, and therefore our bargaining powers are not that great. Fortunately, a lot of people are drinking tea and they are shifting to tea from other beverages because it's a health supportive product. So that is the plus factor we are banking on. And where the Sri Lanka tea industry is concerned, we are a mature industry, and last year we did 1.5 billion plus in terms of export sales. So we believe we are still on the same path. I cannot predict a much higher figure, but I think we should end the year around those figures, 1.5 billion plus.
But is this what the industry expects? Is this what the exporters want?
Actually, the exporters have much better perception about the industry. Being in this industry for so long, I believe our strength lies much bigger than 1.5 billion. We also believe it's a $5 billion industry in terms of a total beverage value of tea. Recently, I was listening to the CEO of one of the coffee companies on foreign channel, where they were talking about tea as a beverage in totality is bigger than coffee. They are looking at about $90 billion industry. So there's a lot of potential in the industry. And from the Tea Exporters Association, we have put forward series of proposals to the government. Even at the budget, we gave a series of proposals. But unfortunately, tea has still remained, especially the export sector, the most controlled industry in Sri Lanka. So within a most controlled industry, going forward, you need to be very innovative, and it's the biggest challenge that we are facing today.
So you mean to say that the obstruction is the regulation, the environment in place, and the fact that it's difficult for industry players to act within that?
Now look at it, we started this promotion and marketing fund 3 years ago. The fund is 4.2 billion rupees.
That's right.
But still it has not been put into proper use. Now, if you ask the tea board, you have to get the real reason from the chairperson of the Sri Lanka Tea Board. There will be various excuses as to why it has not taken place, like cabinet approval and various things. But then 3 years is a long time for a program to get going. Look at the other program that is taking place right now, the tourism on CNN. And I think that's a fantastic program. And I don't think it has taken 3 years. I believe that has been formulated in the last few months. So similarly, because of these controls, I believe the industry is not getting its due recognition and its due place in the world tea market. The tea exporters are rather disappointed that the fund they contributed to and wholeheartedly supported is not taking place immediately. I mean, it has got delayed for so long.
On the other hand, I think tea exporters, as they talk about penetrating new markets, moving into new markets. But what is the problem? We don't see new markets being tapped.
Look at it from an industry perspective. All the exporters have invested large sums of money in modernizing their production plants, investing in new machinery and brand marketing. Where have this money come from? It has to come from the system, and most of these don't have a credit line. It has to be borrowed from your overdraft. Right. How much can they do beyond that? especially when the purpose-built vehicle for marketing is stagnant. How can you go into the world and start marketing on your own rather than making small strides? The industry is progressing, but I feel it will progress at a much faster pace. That is possible.
Right.
If all these stakeholders, if all the government authorities who are controlling this come together in one voice and say, let's market this product properly.
Do you think if we wait until everyone comes together, the Ceylon tea brand will exist until then?
I think there are a lot of challenges because we always believe Ceylon tea is the best in the world, and we now know that other producing countries are also making very good quality of tea, and we are just one of the best cup of teas. It's not the only best tea in the world. We are one of the best. In this scenario, we have challenges, and if you take the entire production of tea in Sri Lanka amounting to about 320 million kilograms, only about 150 million, that's also on the high side, can be truly classified as the one of the finest teas in the world. Rest is fairly mediocre teas, which we have to compete with other origin teas. So these are the challenges. The only way forward is by brand building and brand marketing. We have put forward several proposals.
And that directs to the tea board again?
Precisely. That is the controlling authority. I am sitting on the tea board as a director, represent the tea exposition. It's a bit of a frustrating job I am performing.
And if you also talk about the plantation side, replanting, 150-year-old industry, I think that is also stagnant. And do you think the subsidies granted are adequate for these planters to move into replanting? What's the real situation here?
I can explain that in one sentence: politicization of the industry. You take the unions are demanding unnecessary and non-reflective increases without linking to efficiency. So when that happens and the politics gets into it, what happens? It doesn't require supply and demand as we would practice in the world of commerce. Then it becomes a politicization of an industry. I think that explains why they are struggling. I mean, these are industry that kept the country going before nationalization, and after nationalization, what has happened is so much of politics have come into it. Union activities backed by political agendas.
So you're the chairman of Heladev Foods. Tell us a little about your brand, how it is performing in the export sector and the way forward.
Fortunately, we went public a few years ago, and that gave us a fairly healthy cash flow to do brand building. But that's, I would say, just a drop in the ocean when you look at the world market. We are fortunate in about 40 countries, and we are moved very strongly in the eastern markets like Japan, Korea, and we are in some of those top supermarkets like the Lotte Mart and E-Mart. We are also moving steadily in China. China also has a lot of issues, though we have a FTA. There are certain non-tariff barriers that they have brought in against certain imports, but we are progressing very well. Today we have about 50 tea shops operating in China, and in Sri Lanka we have started a new concept called the Heladev Tea Club, and that's progressing, and hopefully we will have more Heladev Tea Clubs coming in other parts of the world. And we are making our innovative products from tea concentrates, which is now in the local market, then tea cocktails and mocktails, as well as some other extracts from tea, from which we are hoping to develop a tea polyphenol with the help of the science faculty of the university, and probably with a grant available to us.
Right. So with your brand, I think the key is innovation, the strategy is innovation, and that's why I think you stress that Ceylon Tea needs to have a proper vision in terms of building the brand and a strategy to take this industry to the next level.
Precisely, because Ceylon tea per se has a lot of values in it, a lot of strengths, the artisan value, cleanliness. We are one of the cleanest tea producers in the world, and we have a traditional the artisan value in that one. We have a tropical weather that allows us to produce tea throughout the year, and we have a warmth, the hospitality, all those taken into account. We can do a very good campaign to promote this magical brew to the world. But unfortunately, for some reason or the other, that national campaign we all hoped for and contributed without reservation is getting delayed. And as we all know, even in justice, if justice is delayed, justice is denied. Similarly, if marketing is delayed, then paradigm shift, all these consumerism changes will get affected. And if we don't do it now, I don't know whether we can get the desired results later.
Well, on that note, I think it's time we wrap up, Mr. Fernando, but thank you very much for joining us in our studios, for sharing your views and thoughts about the tea industry and the way forward.
Thank you and good evening.
Well, we had with us Mr. Rohan Fernando, the chairman of the Tea Exporters Association and chairman of Heladiv Foods.